In the previous two videos, we actually created our challenge, our banking application. And in this video, we're going to go ahead now and actually test it. We're going to put some code in our main class, in the main method within that class, and just test that it's all doing as it should be doing. So we're going to start here in our main class, as I said, in the main method. So let's start implementing some of this. So firstly, we're going to start with bank. So we're going to put bank equals new bank. And I'll choose a bank that's in Australia, National Australia Bank. Nothing new there, so we're creating a new class, a new object for the bank class. Next, we want to add a branch. So let's add a branch, bank.addBranch. And the branch is going to be called Adelaide. Next, let's add some customers. And if you recall the customers, bank.addCustomer. And it will be Adelaide. The customer name, in this case will be me, it's Tim, and let's put $50.05. Let's add a couple more. Add customer. We'll do the same branch again. Mike, 175.34. Bank.addCustomer. Adelaide. Percy, $220.12. So that's three customers that we've added to the Adelaide branch, which is part of the National Australia Bank. So let's create another branch now. So bank.addBranch, and we'll call this one Sydney. And let's just add one customer to there. Add customer. And it'll be Sydney, of course. And Bob. And I missed his quote there. And we'll say it's $150.54. Okay, next we'll add some more transactions. So these are obviously the customers. We've added them once, so there'll only be one transaction for each of those because they're being added literally just once. But we'll add some transactions. Bank.addCustomerTransaction. And let's do them for Adelaide. Adelaide, we'll do a couple for me and then one for, say, Mike. 44.22. We'll add a couple more here. I'll just copy and paste them to save a bit of time. Space there. So the next one, let's add another one for me. I must be rich, $12.44. And the last one, say $1.65 for Mike. Okay, now we've done that. Let's actually try seeing whether this works. So we'll do first bank.listCustomers Adelaide. We're going to do it false first, so we're not going to show the transactions. So I think we've got enough code in there now to actually run this. So let's run this and actually see what happens and see whether it actually works. Run. Okay, so we can see over here to the right-hand side, customer details for branch Adelaide. We've got customer. Customer number 1 is Tim. Customer number 2 is Mike. 3 is Percy. And that's in order there, Tim, Mike, and Percy. So that's good. And it didn't show us our transactions, or it didn't show the transactions because we selected false there. But if we select true there, let's try that and run that again and see what happens and see if that works. Okay, so let's have a look at this. So we've got customer Tim number 1. Transactions for Tim should be $50.05, which it should be in order, which was $50.05 when it was when Tim was added as a new customer. $44.22, which is this one here, and $12.44. So that is correct. Customer 2 is Mike. So he had the initial one was $175.34. He then got another one for $1.65. So that's his 2 entries there. Customer number 3, Percy, $220.12. And he didn't get another transaction there. So therefore that seems to all be working well. And customer details for branch Adelaide is also working. So just to make sure that it is working, let's add another one here. Bank.listCustomers Sydney. And we'll show the list of transactions for that as well. And we should only get the one transaction for Bob because that's the only one we've actually added. Customer details for branch Sydney. Customer Bob, number 1, transactions number 1, amount $150.54. So that seems to be working well, which is good. So let's try some other things here. We'll actually try sending some data through that's invalid. So getting back to our branch Adelaide, let's try and do something like this. We'll put if not bank dot add customer we'll call this one Melbourne, which we haven't created that yet. Brian, $5.53. We're going to print out an error to say error Melbourne branch does not exist. Exists like so. And if we run this again, error Melbourne branch does not exist. So we're correctly getting an error because Melbourne didn't exist. And just to confirm that is the case, we can then do something like bank.addBranch Melbourne. And by doing that, we should find that that error will disappear. It will disappear now because, of course, a branch does exist. And the error's actually gone away, so that's good. So our basic testing is working. The other thing we can test here, we can do a few more. And I won't do them all, but I'll leave you to actually do some more of these in the future to see whether you can get this to work and find all the areas to see that we've actually correctly validated them all. But another one we can try and do is add a branch we know already exists. So what we can try and do there is we can put if not bank.addBranch Adelaide branch already exists. So in other words, we're getting an error trying to return a branch that already exists. We should actually see that error on the screen. So I'll run that. Adelaide branch already exists. So we're correctly identifying that there's an error. And just to confirm that, we can put something here. We can put if branch Adelaide at the top here. We could put, if we wanted to, a message to say Adelaide branch created. Like so. So we run that again. Adelaide branch created. So our true and falses are working. So in other words, our data validation is working. And what's another one we can try? Let's try and add another entry for, in this case, a non-existent customer and see what happens. So we can put something like if not bank.addCustomerTransaction Adelaide Fergus and we'll put customer does not exist at branch. So we should get an error there because Fergus doesn't exist. Customer does not exist at branch. So that's good, that we're getting some good validation, or getting the correct validation that's working, which is of course what we want to see. All right, and lastly, let's try and add a customer. I don't think we've done that. We'll try, actually we've done that already, haven't we? We've tried to add a customer here, but we're actually testing to see whether the actual bank failed. But what we can actually do there is use a valid bank, but an invalid customer to see what actually happens for that. So what we want to do here is we want to try and call the method to add a customer where the customer already exists at a particular branch. So to do that, we can put if not bank.addCustomer. And I'm going to use, I need to make a bit of space here to see what we're doing. We're going to use Adelaide. Tim, $12.21. Tim, we'll just put customer. Customer Tim already exists. So we're testing to see whether Tim already exists at the Adelaide branch, and we'll run that. Customer Tim already exists, so that's good, that's validating it. And the last thing we can try and do now is try and add some add a transaction for, actually we've done that already, customer does not exist at branch, so that's good. I think that's about all the transactions we can actually test. So it seems to all be working, but go through and your code anyway and make sure that you have got that data validation working. But anyway, that was my version of the challenge. I hope you've got a lot out of that. And again, this is just one implementation. There's obviously multiple ways to approach it. This is the one that I've come up with, and I hope you got a lot out of it. So I'll see you in the next set of videos.